I've never been one for ghost stories. My friends would joke and tell scary tales, but they never got to me. That was until I moved into my new apartment, where I found, the red door. It was an old place, the kind where every floorboard creaked, and the walls carried shadows even when the lights were on. But the price was right, and it was close to work, so I told myself I could handle the quirks. My first few nights were uneventful, though I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone, even when I knew I was. Then I discovered the door. It was tucked away at the end of a narrow hallway, painted a deep crimson that didn't match any other color in the apartment. I hadn't noticed it when I first moved in. Honestly, I wasn't even sure I'd seen that hallway before. But I tried to shrug it off. There's a rational explanation for everything, right? The door didn't have a handle, just a keyhole. Curious, I tried to peer through it, but all I saw was darkness, thick and absolute. I felt a strange urge to touch the door, as if something was drawing me toward it. But as soon as my fingers brushed the wood, a cold, sinking dread seeped into my chest, and I pulled my hand back quickly. I didn't sleep well that night, haunted by dreams of being trapped in some dark, empty space with something breathing beside me, unseen. Over the next few days, the door began to feel closer. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, a trick of the dim lighting in that hallway. But it was moving, inch by inch, creeping closer to my bedroom. Each night, I'd find it just a little nearer, as if it was hunting me. One night, I woke up suddenly, heart pounding. I could have sworn I heard someone whispering my name, low and desperate. I sat up, my gaze immediately locking on the doorway. The red door was now right outside my bedroom, somehow, and I could feel its presence pressing against my doorframe, like it was waiting for me to open it. I got out of bed and stepped toward it, feeling like I was sleepwalking. My hand lifted to touch the keyhole before I could stop myself. This time, I looked through it, hoping to see anything that might reassure me, anything to prove it was just a door. But in the darkness, two eyes stared back at me. Bloodshot, hollow, but intensely aware, as if they had been waiting for me all along. I gasped, stumbling back. When I looked again, there was nothing. Just darkness. But the feeling lingered, a watchful, ravenous feeling. Whatever was on the other side of that door, it was awake. The next morning, I called the landlord, demanding an explanation. "What red door?" he asked, his voice genuinely confused. He said my apartment didn't have any extra doors, that it had only 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a kitchen. I tried to explain, but he brushed me off, and I began to wonder if maybe I was losing it. That night, I decided to ignore it. I locked my bedroom door, telling myself I was safe. But as the night stretched on, I felt the air grow colder. Just as I was drifting off, there was a knock, a slow, heavy, impossible knock. I froze, listening, and then it came again, louder this time, as if something on the other side of that red door wanted desperately to get in. I lay there, too scared to breathe, my body frozen with fear. The knocking grew faster, more insistent, until finally, it stopped. I felt a weight press against my bed, as if someone, or something, was sitting right beside me. My skin prickled as I felt a hand brush against my shoulder, cold and lingering, and then I heard the whisper again, soft but clear, "Let me in." I shut my eyes, hoping that whatever it was would go away. And when I opened them, the room was empty, the feeling gone. But in the morning, I found the red door open, just a crack, as if inviting me to step inside. I packed my things and left that afternoon, without looking back. Sometimes I wonder if I imagined it all. But at night, when I'm alone, I still feel that cold presence lurking, waiting for me to let it in. And sometimes, in my new apartment, I catch a glimpse of red out of the corner of my eye. Leaving that apartment didn't bring the relief I'd hoped. I told myself that whatever haunted that red door was left behind, trapped within those walls. But the fear followed me, creeping into the quiet corners of my new place, seeping into my thoughts when I was alone. It started small, just subtle, fleeting moments that I tried to ignore. Once, I came home to find my bedroom door ajar, though I knew I'd left it closed. Another night, I heard a faint knocking while I was lying in bed, only to find no one outside when I checked. I even considered seeing a therapist, thinking maybe the stress had gotten to me, that my mind was playing tricks on me, but things escalated. One evening, I found it waiting for me. My new hallway was empty, no signs of anything unusual, except for the faintest smudge of red on the wall by my bedroom door. My chest tightened, my heart racing as I stared at it. I tried to convince myself it was a stain or some paint that rubbed off, something normal. But deep down, I knew what it was. And each night after, the red smear grew, spreading across the wall, closer to my door. Then came the dreams. In them, I'd find myself back in that old apartment, standing before the red door. It was wide open, an endless black void on the other side. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, as the cold, watchful presence seeped out, inching toward me. Sometimes, I'd feel a hand closing around my wrist, cold and clammy, dragging me closer to the doorway. Every time, I'd wake up drenched in sweat, my pulse pounding, and I'd swear I heard that same whisper echoing in my ear, "Let me in." One night, the dreams crossed over. I woke in my bed, trembling, only to realize I wasn't alone. The door at the end of my hallway, my own bedroom door, was painted red. Crimson and fresh, the color gleamed in the dim light, and I knew, somehow, it wasn't paint. That a cold hand brushed my face, and I froze, unable to breathe. I didn't dare look up. But from the corner of my eye, I saw them, two hollow, bloodshot eyes, watching me from the darkness. They were hungry, patient, like they'd been waiting for this moment all along. And then, for the first time, it spoke aloud, its voice thick and ancient, dripping with hunger. "You left the door open." In that moment, I understood. I hadn't just left the apartment behind. I had brought it with me, and whatever had been waiting behind that red door was now inside. That I tried to scream, but the room was swallowed by silence, and the shadows pulled me down, wrapping around me, dragging me through the door, into the darkness I'd seen for so long. When I woke again, the room was empty, my bed neat, the hallway light spilling in as if nothing had ever happened. But I knew better. I didn't feel alone, not anymore. The cold presence was always there, just behind me, watching, waiting, and every night, as I lie in bed, I hear it. The soft knocking, growing louder, more impatient. The red door, now inside me, and a voice in the dark whispering, again and again, "Let me in."